I am very, very excited to ask my guest today. She is coming and accepting my invitation to revisit Letting Go with Aloha interview series. It's none other than my former geometry student, Melinda Chinen. You have to listen to this very impressive bio. She is an ICF certified life and grief coach who supports individuals across the U.S. through unimaginable loss and life changes. Coaching is an art form to her, and Melinda is very intuitive. We just had a brief chat before this interview, and it's amazing how intuitive and she just has she's very mindful in her approach. I did hire her in 2019 prior to writing my books and this whole parent coaching journey. She really helped me, and she believes that once we aren't afraid, and that's how you gave me this courage to fully grieve and just not be afraid. I think a lot of us allow fear and perhaps inner child just wounds, which she will be talking about soon. Her clients have described their time, and I attest to that, life changing, and that coaching has allowed them, definitely allowed me to rebuild my new normal. Especially, we had no idea when I started with you that there was a pandemic that was going to happen a
No.
few months after we started, and that a lot of dreams that I had that I did not even know that I had, right? Just knowing that you can dream big, and through Melinda's offerings and her mission, just to help everyone she interacts with realize that, we all have this ability and we must learn to trust ourselves through grief. We all grieve no matter, it doesn't have to be through a person. Right now, we're grieving this transition from, you know, pandemic to maybe not wearing masks, maybe to who knows what. I think that's what this has taught us, right? This unpredictability and just how to thrive and get through that, just anything that life hands to us. And why, Melinda, do we have these triggers that we don't even understand? I think a lot of us either get very upset or we cry uncontrollably, and it's never about that little thing that we think it is, right?
Yeah.
Describe what inner child healing is and how did that impact your journey just going through it?
So, what I'll preface this by saying is I didn't intentionally know I was going through an inner child journey until I was going through an inner child journey. And what I mean by that is uh, when, like you said, when parts of me were triggered, um, you immediately, like, my coaching brain goes to, okay, like, what's the story, right? Like, what's the
Hmm.
story that has me so activated and so reactive? And I was trained in a way where you, like, it doesn't really matter what the past is, like, just coach to like what the current story is. You may dabble in like, oh, where does it come from, but um stay on course with like just the person's current relationship with the story that they hold. um and I think doing that works to a certain extent until you start to realize, like, okay, there's a whole component like missing to this story that you live by, right? Like, for
Hmm.
example, one of my stories that I live by is like, it's just too much. I get very
Hmm.
triggered when there's too much on my plate, and my reaction is to like either abandon my commitments, so be like, I'm
Hmm.
sorry, I can't do this, blah blah. um, or to be resentful, like power through it. And when I started to realize that that story actually formulated, I think the earliest I remember feeling like the world was too much was when I was like 2 years old. That that realization was the beginning of me starting to uncover the roots of my stories. I think, like, we live in a culture that's all about like be evolved and empower yourself. Don't listen to the story. But when it's hard to, like, if powering through is not the way,
Hmm.
um, and when it's hard to just don't think about it, right? Just like operate from a new place of being, I think that's actually a sign that that resistance is because our inner child needs something that it was never given. So, so much of what I've been trying to do alongside, empowering myself is giving permission to my inner child to have what it didn't know it needed. So it's like more play, more mess, more unconditional love. Not, and again, not saying that my parents didn't give that to me, but I didn't allow it for myself. Even if it didn't matter who was willing to give it to me, if I because I wasn't in a place of feeling like I was able to receive it,
Mm-hmm.
I never granted it to myself. So
Wow, that's a huge enlightening moment though, because I just realized that your parents can be the best at providing you with love, but what you just said, if you don't feel like you're worthy, I've been,
yeah.
with the students as young as 5 or 8, you can tell when they don't feel comfortable if you give them a compliment and they
Oh,
just feel very uncomfortable. They'll either say, "No, no, I didn't do that. You helped me through it," or yeah, it's and that's a huge sign that they're unable or they feel uncomfortable with loving themselves.
yeah. Yeah.
So
I
sometimes,
know I
like
know
you said, yeah,
that.
it has nothing to do with and you don't know what happened. Can I ask about what happened at 2? Are you comfortable with sharing that or just the memory
Yeah,
of what it
sure.
represented?
It's interesting. So I've never actually shared this
Are you
publicly.
comfortable with sharing?
Yeah, I am comfortable. And I've been practicing, just even deeper vulnerability. Last year, I started getting memories of being inappropriately like abused by someone close to me. And it's not like immediate family members. There's actually like I'm really at peace with it now because I also ironically had a good relationship with this person. But that was incredibly jarring to remember, if that makes sense. Um, and I know like sexual assault has like a lot of heavy connotation to it. So I'm like, being really careful in how I hold this, especially on, your public platform.
Hmm.
But it is part of my story, and it you can only imagine it amplified even deeper how much I needed inner child work.
Definitely.
I was carrying that and suppressing it. And while my logical mind knows that I'm safe now, there's like a physical somatic part of me that like has never been able to adopt that level of safety. Um, and I think it also affected my ability to receive, you know,
Hmm.
my whole
Hmm.
life. So, needing to clear that um, and heal that has been like one of my highest priorities as a result. But
Thanks for
yeah,
sharing that. But don't you think a lot of us harbor these memories and bury them so deep that we don't even know they exist? So
yeah,
certain fears or certain maybe resentments that we have,
yeah.
we don't even know where they came from.
Oh, 1,000%. And it's like a humbling discovery, right? Because if there's anything I've learned the older I get is the more you want control, the more I want control.
Oh my goodness.
like
Yes.
like structure, right? And I think as coaches, we are taught that like you can take full ownership of your life, but it's been very jarring to have to trust that like a whole nother part of me, like I have to relearn, I have to discover what she's really about, because I thought I knew, and I'm learning like I don't.
Don't
um
you think sometimes the reins, you think that you have the reins, and then maybe your inner child just like takes the
oh
reins and thinks, wait a minute, I'm in control. And she's like, no, you're not. And then that's why when these triggers happen, you want to take over so quickly. But I think that roller coaster of emotions describe like, how do we, people have never heard of inner child healing, or they just think, what is that? It's kind of, I found these inner child healing cards that I've had for, I think,
oh
over gosh, 30 years, and I didn't I thought they were just fun cards, right? Because they
Yeah.
have the little fairy tales, but what they represent and what the lessons, and I thought, wow, there's so many of us who aren't even aware. So describe, like, in a nutshell, what is your inner child and why does it need to be healed, and how does it impact our lives today?
Oh, those are such good questions. What is my inner child? What is my inner child?
If someone never knew what an inner child was, what would
I
you?
would say it's that really youthful, young part of you that just wasn't striving through the world. I think striving is something we're conditioned to learn, but like there's a seed in us. There's that primal part of us that was just interested in existing and absorbing. I think a natural quality of being that young, right, is like you don't realize what you're absorbing, so you absorb everything. You don't have much
Yes.
ability. And so as a result, I think it's important that we acknowledge that it doesn't matter how much older we get, we carry that part of us, and without the nurturing and the consideration that she he they exist,
Mm-hmm.
um, you abandon part of you. So it's I think it's complementary. Like something I've found is like the more I nurture my inner child, the more I let her breathe, play, love, exist, not try so hard, the more the adult in me can show up.
Wow.
It's
That
very,
alone, yes, because sometimes our adult self doesn't show up and we wonder why.
yeah, yeah. Or we get really mad at ourselves when we do.
We get disappointed, we resent, like, you should have known better, right? The
Yeah,
older you
you know
get, you
better.
really believe you should know better. And
Yeah.
then I remember someone in their 70s said, the older you get, the less you know. And you think,
Mhm.
what? I thought that's why you age with wisdom and oh, no, no, no. The older you get, the less I know. And then I guess it never stops, but knowing that it's not supposed to stop, right? Because you just think there's a destination.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mm-mm. Yeah, there's no destination. And I think that's like a huge part of our culture that I actively have to like unlearn all the time is there's no destination, there's no striving, there's no such thing as like worth you need to fill.
That's a
Right?
big one, though. The worth you need to fill, because as a student, and you were once, a student of mine, your whole livelihood and your worth is defined by grades, by
Mm,
by honors, taking honors classes or AP. I just heard this discussion on what AP classes, how many. I know that my teachers want me to take like 3 AP classes, and you just think, why, right?
yeah,
And it's because they need to, in order to get a good GPA, in order to get into a good college, in order to
never
be
ends.
a success. And then you realize, is that what is success? Are we redefining success when we heal our inner child?
I think so. I think so. I know for myself, I used to think a successful life was one where you just check all the boxes, right? Like you just do what people like society tells you to do to have a seemingly successful life. And what I've found from unlearning that and living by my own standards is a successful life to me is just a full life that welcomes like joy on my terms and also heartache and failure because I was willing to take risks and um, lots of love and mistakes, and it's all okay. I rather much have a full life now than a perfect life. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah,
Um,
that's the thing. What is a perfect life? But then we strive for this perfection that doesn't exist, but we know that that's what we want. And then we realize, and that's what you've taught me. I mean, you have taught me just when we did those exercises about who we are, and I was just sharing with Melinda, come, nope, that's not you. This one, no. And I'm thinking, do I even know? But I knew what you were trying to get, but I thought of it as an exercise that I had to check the boxes, and you wanted me to come up with
Uh,
10 things, and then I thought, okay, I have five more things, three more, and you don't even realize the value of discovering who you
hmm,
are, right?
discovering. Yeah. It goes, life goes from walking on this tightrope, right?
Yes.
When you're a perfectionist, you're just like trying to walk on a tightrope, to realizing that like the floor is not lava. And
I
like you
love that
can
analogy. I
get,
think today I still do think that it's not lava, and then you realize you do. I haven't even the coaching ended when I think it was 2020 because we started in November of
yeah.
2019, and I
Mhm.
always reflect during those moments where I feel like I'm going to lose it, like some of the things that you've taught me, and I think that's why your clients just it is life changing,
Oh,
and
thank
I think you need someone who will not judge you, and
you.
I think with you not even realizing it, you help others heal their inner child without them even realizing that they had inner child wounds, because it's something that we're not even taught. We're not even
Yeah.
taught to nurture this inner child. It's just such a. But thank you so much. So, can you close with one simple thing that we all can do to heal our inner child? That's something
Ugh.
that's very simple that doesn't require, and I'm putting you on the spot, but something maybe that you do that we can do.
I would love to encourage people to reflect on like what was one thing in your childhood that brought you immense pleasure and joy on your terms, even if, I don't know, your mom was like, stop eating that candy, right? Like, what was
Right,
that
right, right.
thing? And do it, like embrace it, dive back into it. um, give yourself permission to experience that that joy that wasn't about striving or getting somewhere.
I think that's what the kids today need to know, that it's not because sometimes, oh, I'm a teenager now, I can't blow
Yeah.
bubbles. So recently Sabrina reminded me, when you have your next bubble bath, grab what the whole bunch of soap that we used to do bubbles and blow.
And
And
blow it.
I almost wasn't going to do it. And I was in the tub and all these bubbles. I said, I'm going to just do it. And there's something freeing. And so you start laughing, seeing
Yep.
these bubbles just like go all over the place. And I like what you just said, you don't need to strive. You don't need to accomplish. Because I think you and I have that, like, you need to have that checklist and you need to,
Yep.
oh, my day wasn't complete because I didn't do my fill in the
Right.
blank.
Everything needs to have a purpose. Okay, yeah, even more so. Do the thing that has no
Yes.
purpose
Well,
other
and
than
that's
just
what we should that's if we did that, we would have less inner child wounds because that part of ourself that it's almost like we require play. Don't you think
yeah.
we have
We
to make that the thing that has no purpose needs to be our purpose.
yep. 1,000%. Well put. Yeah.
Thank you so much. I'm just so appreciative, and you have no idea how grateful I am. I know you are so busy, and hopefully one day we can even have coffee together or do something together because I know you're rarely here, and I just learned so much from you. I want to let you know that you have made such an impact on my life, and I know that I would not be having the courage to take this journey. So thank you. And how can people reach you so they can experience this amazing life changing coaching that you provide?
You're so sweet and you've changed my life too. Like our bond is very mutual and I really want to honor that. And how people can find me, I am typically most active on Instagram and social media. So my handle is at Melinda Chinen, and my website, www.melindachinencoaching.com is the best way people can reach me.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. We enjoy the rest of your day and your stay here, and I know we'll be keeping in touch.
Yes, definitely. Thank
Thanks,
you.
Melinda. Take care. Bye.